cotton batting is very telling of the 1920s era.
Oh, nice.
What color do you think the handles were?
I know, that's a good question.
Blue, maybe.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You can kind of see it underneath here.
Yeah. Solids are a bit hard to date. So instead of going from the fabrics in this case, you're going to get more clues from the pattern and other things like batting and quilting. And as I said, this batting is very 1920s. They were very flat. There's some really nice quilting in here.
Cable in the outer border.
Yeah, and feather wreaths. I know it's hard to see white on white.
In here. Feather wreath.
Yeah.
And you see the feathers around here. This is the center. Here's the center. Here's the wreath. Yeah.
So this diagonal set, if you will, where the block is actually here with an alternate plain block, was popular in that time period. It left a lot of space for quilting. This is a reasonably easy pattern to piece with just using half square triangles, and then I think she appliqued on the handle. Yeah, and it's on the bias, and so that's a good way to do that.
Where is your family from?
There's actually a quilter that was in like Indiana, but in the late 1800s, but that doesn't account for this. So I think it must be one of her children that got into quilting in Indiana. It's basically where the family's from.
Do you know what part?
No, well, Bloomington was Illinois.
There's a Bloomington, Indiana. That's where the university is.
I'm not really sure. I could go back and try and research it, but
Well, the more impetus you have to keep the information with the quilt, because you get to the point where nobody really has the info anymore and knows who it was, but it's great that there's a date on there.
I would suggest you don't fold it down the middle here anymore, okay?
okay.
Yeah. Indiana was really a hotbed of quilting, especially in the 1920s.
How great that they put
Yeah.
but no initials, huh?
I know.
So do you fold it opposite or you roll it?
Say
When you
again?
said don't fold it down the middle anymore, do you?
Well,
fold it
I would just
opposite, or
roll it
do you
on
roll it-
Thirds or
Yeah, do it in thirds or whatever, but not to continually
quarter.
put it on the quarter
You know.
line, because those folds will become permanent.
Baskets were really, really popular right then. And fabric was kind of changing in about 1926 or right around that time, because what you saw at the turn of the century were a lot of cadet blues and clarets and blacks, the darker colors. And then once you got past World War I, the formulas for dye were a part of the Treaty of Versailles when the war ended. And so that started an era of a lot of pastel solids, but prints as well. And you think of those 1930s prints, all pastel colors, and that's because the dyes became available. And like I say, it's harder to date solids. I mean, this solid could go for over a long time period, but
Yeah.
But these more pastel colors were popular in the Marie Webster and her flowers.
well,
and-
right around
And I think about too, how it changed from in the late 1800s when the very dark, the crazy quilts, some of you've seen some of those maybe today, the darker colors, and then it was somehow thought that, you know, did that bring disease? And the lighter colors were in society. I'm thinking of in Chicago, what was her name? Jane Addams, and getting more into medicine, and lighter colors came in about that time too. There was a woman in Indiana, Marie Webster, who took flowers from her garden and did patterns and more floral and pastel colors. Were
So
popular.
can you say more about the Treaty of Versailles and you know, how war affects colors?
Well,
of
I mean,
fabric?
the Germans were the real, were very advanced with their dye technology. And so the United States just didn't have as much as the Germans did. And, you know, just if you Google Treaty of Versailles, you can actually look in there and see. I was surprised when I did it, I really was. But wars affect quilting a lot because they affect natural resources and fabric making and machinery and equipment and all that kind of thing. So, you know, the Victorian era had sort of ended. People were tired of that heavy, dark, formal. I even remember my great aunt and grandmother, you know, with the windows all closed and the awnings down, and it's like, holy moly, what are you hiding from? But, you know, colors became lighter, and then you go into a long, United States was then able to do all the production with all the pastels.
So the treaty, the Germans conceded, and therefore they had to give up their formulas, is that what you're saying?
That's what
That was one of the things that.
it was amazing to me,
Wow.
which causes you to kind of speculate on why the war might have been fought, you know.
When did they come up with color fast colors?
You know, it's almost different for every color.
Oh, is it? Okay.
These are would have been synthetic colors. Turkey red was what, 1856, the first reliable red that didn't run.
Indigos, I mean, it used to be natural, so walnuts were used to do a brown color. I mean, that's what they used before, but then when the synthetic dyes came out in
The bulk of them, I'm going to say last third or last quarter of the 1800s.
Yeah.
There were some good color fast dyes, but then you still see later on, if you have cheaply produced fabric that, you know, fades and runs, and you don't know. I mean, I'm assuming this was washed, so soap can fade fabric, sunlight can fade fabric, soap or can just do it all in 5 minutes, you know, take the whole quilt. Things started to get better. I mean, in the 20s, it started to get more color fast with American produced fabrics. Nice. Very cute.
Yeah.
It looks like a great
Little girls' quilts.
Looks like it was well loved too.
Yeah, it's been used.
But that's great that you have the date.
Yeah.
Coloration here.
Yeah, there's definitely some discoloration.
Yeah. Okay, and so here's a quadruple cable border. See this? See
Yep.
this cable? So it's easy to see from the front or from the back. And then we'll turn it over. Oh, basket. Like basket? Well, it's hard to say what color this would have been, but I can tell. It was either blue or green. I think it was blue. This, faded blue.
Navy blue?
Faded blue.
Oh, fading blue.
Faded blue. This is really nice. This, all these little quilting, nicely quilted.
Yeah, for sure.
Where did you get this one?
Well, I think my dad gave it to me. It's kind of, we're not sure if it came from my mom's side or my dad's side. I think it came from my dad's side.
So you can barely see this is blue here.
Oh,
See this
yeah.
blue handle? See, you can see it's blue.
Oh, yeah.
Faded blue. Now, here's the thing about this that I see, and I think this is probably it. This was probably made for a mother that was going to have a baby, didn't know if she was going to have a boy, blue, or a girl pink. And we see a lot of combination blue and pink for that reason.
Oh, that makes sense.
Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And so it's, we know it had cotton batting, but if you hold it up to the light, do you see how it's
Yeah, it's really thin.
thin? We call that migrated batting. We could call it clumping, but migrated sounds better, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So baskets are where's the date on it?
It's on one of the corners. Let me see if it's this one. It's embroidered, so maybe flip it over.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, right there.
1926 in pink, very nice. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And quilts were often made in preparation for a baby. And of course, nobody knew that whether it was going to be a girl or a boy in those days. So, yeah.
So if I could find a date of birth around 1926, then
In your family.
in my family, then this quilt was
likely.
probably made for that
I would
child.
say that's very likely, yes. 1926.
That's
So
perfect.
basket quilts are, everybody loves a basket quilt.
Right.
This one, the condition is not good.
Yep.
So that takes away a lot of the value, but we love the feathered wreath here, see? Love the feathered wreath, and here's, all the alternate blocks are feathered wreaths. And then the quadruple cable border with this really interesting design in the corner that I told you about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Okay, let's see, the date is good.
So what is it called? Feathered, what?
Feathered wreath.
Wreath.
See,
Oh,
it's in
okay.
a circle, like a wreath.
Oh.
And so these little things, see these little guys?
Yep.
These are called feathers.
Feathers, okay.
With a grid center. Some of them have, most of them have grid centers. So this is, no, it's not a grid center. So it's straight lines. Straight lines. Cool.
Cool.
Well, the quilting's nice. I think we figured out what the purpose was.
Yeah.
Love that part.
Yeah.
But it's not worth a great deal because of the clumped batting, the migrated batting, and the fading, and this. So,
Yeah.
but still, people love baskets. And so do I. I love baskets. Look at she pieced this. See here? She pieced this. These are cut. She had enough not to piece these, but she pieced this one. See here? So it's,
Oh, yeah.
it is hand pieced. Hand pieced here. So it is hand pieced and hand quilted. The binding is put on by hand, both sides. No machine quilting in this quilt. All hand work, which increases the value. Yeah. I'll say 150 to 175.
Okay. Sounds good.